Okay, so this is my new furnace, Devil Forge. I'm going to apply some refractory coating rigidizer. Okay, so I don't know why this has to be stirred for 15 minutes, but that's what I've done. So it ends up looking like this. And now I need to coat all of this white ceramic wool, I think. So basically just paint it on. Hopefully there will be enough liquid here. I can do the whole thing. Okay, so I've done pretty much every surface now that I can see, but there's still, I can still see white. So I'm going to give it, there's still quite a lot of liquid left, so I have to say there's probably plenty. Just going to give it another coat and see if I can make sure that all of this wool is covered up. Wool is exposed at the sides, and I don't think I'm going to get, there's a limit probably to what you can do at the sides. And I guess this cement, factory cement, refractory cement, it probably will get damaged with use, I would expect. Okay, so while I wait for this forge for the rigidizer to set, I wanted to have a look, just check what I have to melt. For most of my adult life, in fact ever since I was a teenager, I've had a desire to melt down copper and make a copper bar. It's from a science fiction novel I read, possibly Star Smashers of the Galaxy Rangers. I need to double check that, but one of the things in stories, plot points, was that the spacecraft was powered by copper bars, and that just took my fancy. And so most of my life I've collected copper. You see, don't have much of it. We've moved house a few times. I've had to actually give away or dump copper that I've collected over the years, but whenever I settle, I then start up again, and I collect and keep old pipes. My wife gets a little bit irritated because it takes up space in the garage and it's messy, and I'll store it. You know, I've got these old whiskey boxes, an old coffee tub, hot lava java. You can see here, you know, it's a mix of, you know, copper wire that I've managed to extract from the plastic, old computer bits, there's engine parts, motors, and I've thought, well, let's see if I can harvest the copper, and one day I'll melt it down. And well, now finally I have a forge, and that's the hope, is that in a few days I'll actually start melting some of this and doing what I've been hoping to do for years. I'll have to do some work to disconnect. You know, I've got like things attached to bits of these copper, and it'll be good because I'll throw away the waste, melt down the copper. You can see here there's a box of old wires that will need stripping, and so yeah, it'll be a hobby going forward. And it you know, since I was a teenager, I've had this idea of making a gold bar, copper bar. But now that I actually have realised I could buy my own forge, I didn't know this until last year, you can actually buy these things, and it's possible to melt this metal down. It started me thinking, it's just kicked off this whole set of ideas, and thinking, well, I could make, what else could I make? Could I learn how to mold things, create an object, turn that into a mold, and then pour metal into that mold and cast something that's beautiful or interesting or useful. And some of the initial ideas, what about a chess set? I could make my own pieces, a Viking axe head, a sword, some of the ideas sparking off, and there's been other things I think since then, but those are probably the most interesting to me right now. And it's not just going to be about melting or making a simple bar. So if I'm able to, what I'd like to do is, learn how to do some of these things, and there's lots of excellent YouTube videos out there with people sharing what they've done, and I'd like to learn from them. And there's an idea I think I had over a decade ago. Used to meet up with some friends, we went climbing, and we drank whiskey, not while we were climbing, but we had been to distilleries, we'd done the tours, we'd seen the copper stills, and even back then, a decade ago, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to make your own still and distill your own whiskey? I used to, for a time, I brewed my own beer, and beer is the foundation of whiskey. You brew the beer, and then you use that, you put into the still, and you distill off the alcohol from the beer into the spirit, and then the process continues until you have your whiskey. So it's more complex than just using a still, but it's like, could you do that? Could you make your own still from scratch? And that's, may never do that. That may well be beyond me, but yeah, I find that fascinating. And so maybe if I can do a copper bar as a first step, that would be fun, and explore some more challenging things. That would also be fun. And maybe, if God spares me, if I'm here in 10 years, maybe I'll have learned how to make a still as well. So anyway, just thought I would record that for posterity. And now I better tidy up before my wife comes out.
Melted copper there. What it will be. Are you happy, Mark?
Yeah.
Good.